Welcome to iHeartGeek.
Do 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 do. Mana mana. Do 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 do. Mana mana. Do 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 do. And that's enough. And welcome to another episode of iHeartGeek. It is definitely Hensonverse Day.
Why do I always come here? I guess I'll never know. I'm going to stop there.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's not easy being PB.
It really isn't. Okay, so...
It's easy being Jason.
It is? Yeah. And ironically, today's iHeartGeek is brought to you by Being Green. It isn't as easy as you think it'd be.
It's not.
Okay, and before we get started, I wanted to give a special shout-out. Courtney, this was the second episode, I believe, you've written for us?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so good job on this one. Yay! So let's introduce the panel. I'm Dub, and I'm your producer.
I'm Blythe, the YouTube guy.
I'm Miss Geeky Page, the Instagram girl.
I'm Cod.
I'm Katie May.
I'm PB&Jason, the old wizened Muppet of the show.
You're the Statler or the Waldorf?
You're Statler.
You're Sam the
absolutely
Eagle.
the
The
Statler.
Snuffleupagus.
Sam Eagle.
Sam Eagle? That's
Sam the Eagle.
Now, this sucks. I wish we were on YouTube right now. This is kind of amazing.
This is what this whole episode is going to be like, folks. You've been
far
warned.
too silly.
So, yeah, we're talking Hensonverse, we're talking Muppets, we're talking Dark Crystal, we're talking Sesame Street.
Fraggle Rock.
We're talking Fraggle of the Rock, which will bring world peace.
Hey, Dub,
Farscape.
you remind me of the Babe.
Really?
The babe with the power.
What power?
Voodoo.
Hoodoo.
You do.
Do what?
Remind me of the babe.
Dance magic dance.
I feel like I'm so far in the deep end right now. I think you even understand.
The best place to be in the Hensonverse.
Nice. So, you know what? Let's just jump right in off the diving board, right to the big 14-foot drop, and let's talk kind of the history of the Hensonverse. And I do believe that Miss Katie has a little something for us.
So in 1958, Jim and Jane started their Henson, their whole Henson company and stuff, and it just kind of went from just little Rolf being in a commercial, in a dog food commercial, to the juggernaut that is our entire childhood.
The Muppets.
Yeah, absolutely. And then even when it was sold, like most of it was sold to Disney in 2004, like the Henson Studios. I know Courtney's got some information on how they're doing things now, but like they're still the Henson family is still like royalty.
Oh yeah, they always will be.
Yeah, in the entertainment world for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. So let's get a little start on this. What is your favorite Henson project? No particular order, just kind of going around. What would your single? You could pick one.
The Muppet Show.
The Muppet Show.
Hands down.
The Muppet Show.
There was never anything like it. There never will be anything like it. It was a cultural phenomenon beyond description. Phenomenon.
I really wish that they would bring it back. Like, I was very excited when they brought in that new reality. Well, what they were going to bring back the Muppets, and then it turned into a reality show.
Then it was bad.
I wanted the Muppet Show, like back from my
That's
childhood.
what everybody wanted.
You know what,
And they
Show.
gave you The Office with puppets.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like that. Even if they did bring it back, it wouldn't be the same. You know,
Not without Jim.
It could
Not without Jim.
Oh, true. But it can get really close, though. I just love
Yeah.
the variety of it, and just the musical guests, and even the Star Wars episode was just amazing.
The
what
Wonder
I saw.
Woman episode.
So
The Linda Carter episode
Yeah.
where she wouldn't dress up as Wonder Woman.
Right.
So Miss Piggy did it.
So this is a little bit of breaking news. I don't know if you guys heard it, but at D23 they announced that for Disney Plus they're doing a short series. So I think they may be testing the waters to see if they bring back a type of Muppet show, can it hold up in today's
I will never go to work again.
As long as it's the Muppets and not The Office with puppets.
No, I think it's probably going to
they're
be
gonna do
more
an
along the
original.
lines.
You
Yeah.
can try an original.
Yeah.
Is Brian going to be doing it? I've tried Brian Henson, who is, I believe, his oldest son.
CEO, yeah, he's the son.
He's the only person that I would trust with the properties at the moment.
He and his daughter run the studio.
Yeah, I mean, if they run the studio, I'm sure they're.
Brian and Linda, the son and daughter of Jim, run the creature shop and the studio.
Yeah, so I'm sure they'll have a big hand in it.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just give it to them?
When we saw the reboot, I don't know how big a hand they had in it, because that was not... Didn't seem like it had the Henson fingerprint on it.
See, it's too bad, because actually, I know we're going to talk about more that people like, but Muppets Tonight, which I believe was the second one.
Yeah, that was the one.
Was pretty good. I mean, it was decent.
And they got the same kind of, they got talent. Like, I remember an episode had Prince in it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They had everybody in it.
Yes. But again, it didn't. I don't know, something about the timing. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But
I wonder too, and I'll ask this of everybody at the table: is how many of us who watch the Muppet Show, that's why we're performers now? Because
great question.
Maybe my subconscious.
It's in a theater. We always got to watch musical guests.
It's
I mean,
the backstage.
It was just an old backstage. We got the backstage experience. That's what I always.
I had animal shoe tie laces the whole time I drummed.
Yeah,
nice.
So I mean, like,
almost all drummers do.
How much of our performance life was actually influenced, I wonder, by the Muppets?
Well,
the Muppet Show, which is too old for you.
Well, even to add on to that,
but you know what I mean.
The I saw on Facebook or saw on the news that Toby, the baby from Labyrinth, is now a puppeteer for the new Dark Crystal that came out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, because his father created the Skeksis.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Very cool.
Yeah. And his dad, wasn't his dad like a master puppeteer on Labyrinth as well?
Yeah, he was one of the master puppets. That's why he's in Labyrinth.
Right,
because his dad was
like,
one of the
you make my
master
kid cry, that's
puppeteers.
fine.
We were watching it last night, and they were doing Dance Magic Dance, and I'm like, of course he's going to be a puppeteer when he grows up. Oh my gosh, just surrounded by all these creatures and wonderful.
He actually, I saw something. He was on some TV show not too long ago. He actually had the original prototype Yoda in his attic.
Really?
Okay. Why the attic?
That's just where they stored it. And he brought it down to go to auction because he was selling it off for some. Because he had some pet project he was trying to make money for.
Dry and protected from moisture it is.
Right, yeah, but it's and it's the prototype, so if you see him, he doesn't look like the Yoda we know and love. It was the
It's a creepy one.
It was the stand-in prototype Yoda.
That answers the attic question.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Deter his kids from going up there.
Right.
Just put it right in front.
You don't want to go up there.
No.
Yoda
Ever.
Yoda will get you.
Yoda.
Go to bed. Yoda will get you.
Okay, now let's do a quick game show, and I almost want to get past it because we have so much more to talk about. But let's jump to the game show real quick.
Here's a generic game show for you.
Okay, so on this game show, I am taking the reins. I haven't done a game show in quite a while, so let's see what happens.
Yeah, you were obviously mad after the Spider-Man one when we put this game show together, let me tell you.
It was so bad. It really was. It was so bad.
Dub's Revenge.
It's pretty hard.
And I gave a drummer question, so you can't call there revenge on this.
I guess that's true.
Okay, question number 1.
Yoda.
No. Who is Gonzo in a romantic relationship with? Blythe?
It's a chicken. I think her name is Carmela, right?
Not close enough.
Camilla. It's Camilla the chicken.
Is it
1
Camilla?
point. It is Camilla.
She's the head chicken.
Camilla.
I thought it was Clementine.
No, I'm right. You're wrong. Eat it.
They were in a long-term relationship. Nice. So much pain today.
Wow.
So that's no points for college on that one?
I'm wrong. She's right.
Katie?
I completely forgot all about the chicken, so I just wrote Janice.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Which would have been hilarious.
That would have been
It's even
weird.
weirder than him dating a chicken.
Excuse me while I faint. I wrote Priscilla the chicken.
So close, but no.
You guys are all dead to me.
Wow.
What? There's more than one chicken. We don't know.
Yeah,
Camilla. I got it right.
Camilla
she got
was
it
the
right.
important one.
He could have been Camilla, Clementine, and Priscilla. We don't know.
No, that's icky.
You didn't
would
get
never.
added in there.
Okay, question number 2. Jim Henson created the term Muppet. Where does this word come from?
I said monster puppet?
No.
Monster and puppet.
Okay, so I put mom puppet, but there's a reason why I put that.
Okay, I got to hear the reason why.
Because he made Kermit out of his mom's coat.
Aw.
That's true.
Aw,
I'm glad that
so
wasn't one of the
sweet.
questions.
Isn't it like moving puppet?
Close, but no.
I put monster puppets.
Yeah.
Jason?
Marionette and puppet.
Jason got
That's
a point.
it. That's
Oh,
it.
nice.
Marionette.
Like I said, I read it on Wikipedia. I knew it wasn't monster.
So
puppet.
someone else can be
Yeah.
eating it about now.
Yeah, right.
I knew I was wrong, though.
P.S. Just in case I know there's going to be a couple questions on here that are controversial. You can look at my link, my facts on. I believe I got most of these off of IMDb, the trivia page. So when
We'll
this
throw down
comes
on
up,
number
there's going to be
5.
some upset people.
We'll throw down on
Wikipedia.
number 5. It's fine.
Wikipedia.
It's fine.
Okay, next question. What is the term Henson used to make his puppets more lifelike than other puppets, and what does it do? Blythe?
So I got caught up on two things. The one I put down
This is
was
2 points, by the way.
bite at the words.
Okay.
That's the
No.
terminology. Okay, so it's not bite at the words. And I said because it makes them look like they're talking.
Not quite.
Glued on some felt and added some servos.
Wow. No.
No idea.
Gosh.
I'd put animatronics.
Okay. There was no animatronics in Kermit.
Well, but just the
Yeah.
process of the animatronics too.
I just put emoting.
Okay. Jason?
I wrote platforming because it created a more fluent
He's all serious and
movement
we're all
for the Muppets.
felt.
The actual term that he created was called the magic triangle.
Yes, that
That's
was the
it.
second
Thank
one.
you.
That,
It makes the
Should've gone
face
with your gut,
appear
man.
to focus on the camera.
That's
Yep.
yep.
Oh, okay.
And that's why the Muppets were better than any other puppets you've ever seen in your life. Right. Because it's all faced to one point.
Well, and even with I can't remember. There's another puppet creator with Henson that developed a technique to actually for sewing that it looks seamless so that you don't see the seam of the puppet either. Yeah,
Nice.
that was my second
like the
answer.
Henson stitch, I think it's
Gosh
called or
darn it.
something.
Next question up. What was the original name of the Muppet Show? Not the original creation that Jim Henson did, was the name of the Muppet Show. Blythe?
Sex and Violence.
I wish.
There's actually a
Yeah,
show.
that's one of the
There's
shows.
actually
That's
one
a
of
real
those.
answer.
Nice.
Yeah.
The Muppet Comedy Hour. I have no idea.
Let's get Muppet.
I did make this hard. I apologize.
Yeah, it's rough, man.
It's time to start the music.
Nope.
I wrote Sam and Friends, but I think that's his
That was the original
show.
That was
show.
the
Yeah.
original show, yeah.
It was called The Anything People.
Really?
Anything People. Which
Okay.
was terrible.
Wasn't Sam the Eagle on Sex and Violence? I think so.
Yeah, that's where
Okay.
he introduced.
Now, this is going to be the controversial one because there's going to be a lot of
Throw
disagreement.
down.
This is, and I told you where I got my source, so
And I
that's
wrote
the
down
only.
2 answers.
That's the only answer that I'm going to accept. You know what? Screw it. There's 2 answers I'll accept, and if you get them both, it's 2 points because we're not getting any points anywhere else. So,
In
Blythe,
my one answer, that I scribbled out
The
back.
correct answer is Kermit the Frog, introduced in Sam and Friends in 1955.
that is an incorrect, but I will give it the correct because of the controversy in this. So I'll give you 1 point on that one.
What was the question?
was the original.
What was the
Muppet?
original Muppet?
The original,
The original
Muppet,
Muppet.
that was
Okay.
created by Jim Henson.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to say Kermit too, and we'll throw down on it. But I think I know which one you're talking for because I think Katie said it earlier.
Oh yeah, can I?
So
I
I'm
did.
going to stick with Kermit because that was my
Okay.
answer. And although I think I'm right, but I'll.
Can I give you what your other answer would have been?
You know
No.
what it is.
No, because I think Katie said it. So let her
Okay.
get the point.
All right.
Well, the first show that he did
Don't
was
be
Samuel
stealing
and Friends. It'd be
points.
Samuel, wouldn't it?
No.
Okay.
Rolf.
Rolf is
Rolf
the
the dog.
correct
Oh.
answer.
It's not.
It is.
Was in a
I named my
dog food
sources.
commercial.
Now I'm going to show you this
Okay.
just so I could get the 2 points. This is me crossing out Kermit
Uh-huh.
and writing Rolf, but since you said you're allowing the 2, I'm putting Kermit back. Rolf
I
and
will
Kermit.
give you 2 points because this is the lowest scoring game that I've
I know,
ever
this one's
put
rough.
out.
We'll
just agree to disagree.
Well, that's it. I mentioned where I found my stuff, so yeah.
Rolf appeared in the 60s. Kermit appeared in the 50s.
Yep.
In fact, and I'll tell you why I'm
He was made by his mom's coat.
after Jim Henson
While she was
died
wearing it.
until the last movie, Rolf did not speak because as a honor to Jim Henson since that was his first. That's why I know that my answer is correct.
It's not.
It is.
No.
Yes. Yes, and yes.
It was his
Kermit
first. That was his first public Muppet.
I'll give it that. I don't know. It was the first Muppet.
Just walk up to Doug and go, "Hey!"
That's not. I wouldn't like that at all. Okay, and the final question, and this one is worth 15 points or 1 point an answer. If you can get all of these, you can get 15 points. I don't think anybody's going to get it. Who has Animal had a drum battle with? Plus,
I just put Buddy Rich. That's the only one I know.
that is one.
Dr. Teeth. I have no clue.
He didn't play drums, he played bass.
I know that. You
right.
act like I don't know that.
I think I have two.
Okay.
Muppet Show, Keith Moon.
No.
In the Muppet Show, Keith Moon and Animal had a drum off. I know that.
I got my stuff on this.
The internet is wrong.
Off the Muppet Wiki, so I'm pretty sure, and I never saw that, and I think I would have remembered that.
All right, so how about Dave Grohl?
Dave Grohl is a correct answer.
Okay. And then we had the controversy one of the drummer for Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Chad Smith. And
Chad
no.
Smith.
Again, there's no record of that. And I remember seeing, I think that's one of those Mandela effect things. I thought I remember seeing it.
It was on the...
it might have been a commercial or something.
No. It was on the new Muppets, the Office one, the Muppets Office one. It was at the very end. They had a drum off.
No, because there's 3 of these people that were on that, on the new Muppets. So I don't know where. And I seem to remember seeing it, but there's no record of it.
All right, we'll disagree to disagree.
Okay, then, guy. Katie, what you got?
I have Dave Grohl and Lars Ulrich.
You got one.
Okay.
No, Metallica, unfortunately, which I would love to see Animal doing a double kick.
Wouldn't that be fantastic?
It really would be. Jason, okay, let's see. You can.
Drummer
You've already
of the
won
group
this.
No, I
Let's
mean,
see you win
I
this.
probably only got 2.
Okay.
But I'm gonna add one, which you don't give me a point if I'm right. But all right. So Buddy Rich,
Yes.
Dave Grohl.
Yes.
I wrote Chad Smith.
No.
I wrote Dave Weckl.
No. And I thought there was a Weckl.
I wrote Travis Barker.
Yes.
And I wrote Lars Ulrich.
Nope.
And is the drummer for Weezer one of them?
No.
Okay, so those are
I
mine.
literally know one person.
I'm not
on that
mad,
list.
PB, but I'm very disappointed.
The full answer
not
is
feeling good?
the first one ever was Harry Belafonte.
I love Harry Belafonte.
That's right. He
Ashamed that I
did. He
didn't
did.
know that.
He did drum off with him. Yes, he did.
The next one was Buddy Rich, which is
You're
probably
right.
one of the most famous ever.
I'm sorry, I have to YouTube that Harry Belafonte one.
That was the first one he ever did.
They do it on like congas.
Oh, okay.
Because Harry
okay.
Belafonte
See,
is
I
a
was
cool-
thinking
Because
drums.
those aren't
Yeah.
drums.
Questlove from A Tribe Called Quest.
Oh, okay.
That'd be amazing.
Dave Grohl. I figured everybody would get that one.
Yeah.
Travis Barker.
You thought
I would
wrong.
assume that people were going to get that one. And this one, I have no idea who this guy is. Andrew Hurley. They made that. That is mentioned everywhere that I looked on the internet looking for these. I don't know who that is, but they were.
I don't either.
I guess it's some modern guy.
Okay.
But no. But going back, the Chad Smith thing, I seem to remember it, but I can't find it
Andrew
anywhere.
Hurley is Fallout Boy.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
We just looked it up
Okay.
because I didn't actually know.
Now we all know the guy from Fallout.
So
Boy.
my girls would know that one. My daughters would know that one, but I don't.
So that leaves us with, let's see, nobody got 0 points.
Let's hear it for the chicken question.
And in golf, the winner would be Kaj with 1 stroke.
Aww.
And then we would have a 3-way tie with Birdie, which would be 2 strokes. Which would be
Big birdie.
Katie, Courtney, and Blythe. And our golf loser, the biggest loser today, the best with the winner of the show, one PB and Jason with 6 points.
I think that my prize should be to give me a cookie. I would like to thank the birdie for the hearing.
Suddenly I'm getting flashbacks last time we did a Monty Python episode. Everything
All right.
quotable.
I really
So
wish
you are the
PB and
king
Jason,
prawn
nice.
today.
King Prawn.
He's Pepe
Yes.
the King Prawn.
Okay. Now, anytime that we end up doing these shows, we talk about stuff from when we were kids. We always say what makes this have the longevity that kids still watch it today? And do you think this can keep going for another generation or 2 or 3? Or do you think, that the times are going to catch up with it?
People don't outgrow magic. And that's the basic, the whole Henson thing is it's just magic.
Yeah. Well, the second they put in CGI, the show will be done.
Right. Well, no.
But they
Well,
did
it's
that.
because there is the magic of the puppet, that real tactical thing,
I don't think they ever will put in CGI.
I hope
Because
not.
that goes against everything that the Muppets
Everything.
are.
Well,
They did that to Yoda, so
Which ruined Yoda.
right.
I might get some flack on this. I think the Muppets, their time will be. I think their time is fading out.
It's over.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Because I mean, especially with Jim Henson being even his son and daughter being with her, I think eventually the kids don't care. As far as Muppets go, as far as doing the Muppeteering, like the whole process and everything, we need to get. There's going to come a time when there's going to be somebody that is like Jim Henson that has that kind of a vision that wants to do that, and then it'll probably be rekindled with another universe, another Muppet universe of their time.
And therein lies the dilemma, because I don't think there will ever be another
No.
Jim
Right.
Henson.
Yeah, I don't
He
think-
was-
No.
I think you're going to get into a point where you're not going to need it anymore. I think CG is already going in the way of looking more realistic and things like that. The more time and money that's put into it, you can make it look at Thanos in
Right, or
Endgame.
even
Like,
Pokemon.
yeah,
Or the
exactly.
Pikachu,
Yeah, they look flawless. But now you're getting to a point where I just don't think that kids are going to appreciate puppets and Muppets and things like that like they would previously.
I think in terms of like Sesame Street,
That's what I was going to bring up.
that's
right there.
that's
probably
the important
never
thing.
going to go anywhere. And the only reason I say that is because when I was on vacation not too long ago, my nieces were with me, and you've heard me tell you guys that they're 3 and 5. They were watching Sesame Street, and I sat down to watch with them. And literally, I had not seen an episode of Sesame Street since I was a kid. It is still just as wonderful as it was when we were watching it. I mean, they were learning shapes, and they were learning colors, and they were having fun with Oscar, and my little 3 and 5-year-old nieces were just having a blast watching Sesame Street. So I think that will continue to be something that everybody's going to really enjoy. In terms of maybe like Kermit and Fozzie and whatnot, maybe their time is up, but you have to remember on the back end of it, there's a lot of stuff that the Henson Studios is doing that we don't know about, or is
Right.
not as public as, say, Kermit.
Right.
Miss
Well,
Piggy.
let's stay on the Sesame Street thing, because it's kind of something that's real important in my life. My oldest son, when he was young, that's all they were allowed to watch was PBS until like 12, I think.
Yeah.
Until 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and then we could watch other stuff. Now, growing up watching that kid was reading full Harry Potter books when he was in 1st and 2nd grade.
Yeah.
Just,
wow, okay.
he loved to read. He just got
Yeah.
into it. Now, unfortunately, my son grew out of that, and my next son came along, and he convinced him how terrible that show was. Let's not watch this. Let's blah, 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 And so he never got into it, and he never really got into reading.
Yeah.
3rd son shows up, and we got back to strict on watching it again. That kid reads all the time. There's something educational that they just do right.
Oh, yeah.
So what you're saying is it was 1, 2, 3, 3 wonderful sons.
No, I mean, and my kids are all smart and all that, but that there's something that they teach in that they don't teach in school.
The way
No,
that they
absolutely.
approach learning is entirely. Katie, as a teacher, you know.
Yeah. And I raised 5 kids on Sesame Street.
Right.
like-
Yeah. I mean, so
Yeah.
their approach to learning is fun, and they're also very inclusive, which is cool. Like, there's a little puppet that has autism now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One of the Muppets now, and the girls knew all about it because there are puppets on there that I've never seen before, and I'm like, who's that? They're like, well, that's Abby, and she does this,
Oh,
and this,
Abby
and this, and this, and this, and this, and I'm like, okay.
But yeah, they do it.
Where's Harry?
Yeah, no joke. But they do it right. They take these puppets that have different needs, and they never make a deal out of it. And that started way back with like Snuffleupagus. I mean, depressed, and he was basically the same as Eeyore, and nobody cared. They just like, okay, let's go on our adventures anyway. And
family. Yeah.
they never made a deal out of it. They just went on with life, and that's I think that something got lost in translation with the way they do shows now versus doing that. And Sesame Street still does it, but
you guys know why they let Snuffleupagus be discovered, right? Yeah, you guys know this or heard this?
No.
Okay, so the main reason that Snuffleupagus was allowed to be discovered was because they didn't want kids telling adults the truth and having the adults not believe them.
Oh,
okay. So they made a flip on that because they want kids to tell the truth and the adults to believe the kids.
Yeah. Interesting.
Smart. Okay.
Well, and just what you were talking about with just acceptance, and that's Lies, to your point, that's why I think that like CGI could never take over that, because the interaction with the children and the adults, even with the Muppets and stuff, it's real and it feels real. I mean, I still remember as a child when Mr. Hooper died, and seeing Big Bird get working through that let me know that it's okay to grieve when somebody's hurt and stuff, and that's a life lesson that you're not going to get from watching like a cartoon. Like it's a real interaction to where you forget they're Muppets, you forget they're not real. And that's the immersion of it.
And it wasn't every episode that they did that. It was special when stuff like that happened. And that's kind of how people need to treat life. Sometimes bad things happen. It's not going to happen all the time.
One thing that's fantastic is most of that original cast is still alive.
I know.
I'm like, awesome.
I'm like, I watch it now and I'm like, you guys raised me.
The woman who played Maria just recently retired. I saw the news thing I go out and I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember Maria.
Do you think that they actually took? I don't know what came first. Was Sesame Street first or was Mr. Rogers first?
Mr.
Rogers.
I definitely feel like they definitely took a couple of volumes from his playbook as well, of like treating kids like they're you don't dumb them down, you don't try to you sit down, you kneel to them, and you actually you talk to them like a human being and try to get them to understand, or like try to make them try to teach them in the simplest way possible so that they get it.
And they did it in different ways.
Yeah.
But they both worked.
Yeah. Like, and even the most grumpiest of characters, Oscar the Grouch, is, has a heart of gold at some point, especially when a kid hugs him and he's like, all right, fine, yeah.
Now, Courtney, you had some forgotten Henson Studio moments.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear about these real quick.
Well, these are like things that they were involved in that you may not have known that they were involved in addition to projects. I mean, what I was going to talk about was the Curious Creations of Christine McConnell, which you mentioned. It only ran one season. It's really easy to see why, because she's very beautiful, but she's very boring on screen. But the puppets are amazing. Most people forget that they created the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the 90s, the Turtles themselves. They've done a myriads of Star Wars characters over the years. Farscape, Angelica Houston's Witch, Grand High Witch and the Witches. They did most of the dinosaurs in the Flintstones and Viva Rock Vegas, and of course the TV show Dinosaurs.
One of those failures.
Yeah. They also did the animatronics for Five Nights at Freddy, which most people don't realize.
Yeah. Right.
They did the stand-in puppets for the Jungle Book, so that's where your marriage of CGI and Muppets go hand in hand. And the one that I thought was really interesting that I did not know is that they did these scarecrow effects in Batman Begins.
Oh no! Huh. That just kind of ruined it.
Yeah. They did the visual...
But they also did the Bear in the Big Blue House. So
Bear in the Big Blue House. They did Follow That Bird.
Yeah.
Big Bird Goes to Japan.
Right.
The Happy Time Murders. That movie that just came out. They did all the puppets for that. So, I mean, they had there's the stuff that everybody knows, Dark Crystal and the Muppets and... all that stuff, but then there's these behind the scenes stuff where they build puppets for.
So one little add-on, I want to do a behind the scenes thing that I read along a while back. when filming the Empire Strikes Back Dagobah scene, Mark Hamill started to basically crack under the pressure. He was getting depressed, angry, upset, and to help him through this, Frank Oz reached into his utility belt and pulled out his Miss Piggy puppet.
Oh, I remember hearing about
pulled
this.
out Miss Piggy and was like, Hamill, get your act together, Hamill, and like sang with him and spent a whole, several hours cheering him up. And also the rest of the Muppet cast visited the set too.
Yeah.
But that story was very touching because
That's awesome.
Because I'll tell you what,
That's cool.
Everyone's getting teary-eyed.
I would,
I know,
I
it's
would,
amazing.
I would absolutely love to have like a 2-minute conversation with Miss Piggy. I think I just die.
Yeah.
Oh, she'd slap you.
I would be fine. She could.
Yes.
Brian Henson, I'm kind of depressed. Could you bring the Muppets over to my house? That'd be great.
And the thing is, the other thing is we have to think about with Henson, because we were talking about the greatness of Jim Henson himself as a puppeteer. They have pioneered, the Henson Studios in general has pioneered so many ways of doing puppeteering beyond just the Muppets. Like, they are the tour de force. When people need a puppet built, they go to the Henson Studios. It may not be a Disney film, it may not be a Henson film, but we need a puppet. I mean, Christopher Nolan says, I need the Scarecrow built. They say, okay. And they build this. And you would never, if you didn't look it up, you wouldn't know, okay, well, that's a Henson creature shop
And I don't think
creation.
they want their name on it to be...
I don't want their name on it.
No.
And another thing, like a quick thing, the Apprentice Muppeteers, way back in the early days, one of the very first things that they would do would be the left arm. Because you would have the main puppeteer do one of the arms and the mouth, so the beginning Muppeteers would do the left arm.
When you learn how to do that, you can do anything, I guess.
Yeah.
And to add on, since we were talking about the Swedish Chef as well, same thing. Like both of the hands, like both hands that he's doing was what were two different puppeteers doing at the same time. Yeah.
There's two puppeteers in each Skeksis.
Really?
Right.
Interesting.
Yep, and they're right on top of each other.
So yeah, let's move on a little bit. Let's talk the listener feedback.
And now, let's see what all of our geek rock stars have to say.
Okay, on today's listener feedback question, we had so many responses, and I literally, just before we went on, I cut like 9 of them.
The power of the Hensonverse.
And once again, if you don't tell me a reason why, you're not going to get your stuff answered on the air, unless you're MMA Jesse, because he beats me up if I do.
Or if you're Crystal Midget, because he loves your name.
Because I love to say Crystal Midget. That's one of those fun things. Okay, so let's start with... We asked what was your favorite character from all the Hensonverse, and this goes like all over the place. It's kind of interesting. Let's start with our Twitter answer, and that would be from sorry if I messed this up. Callie Gutters, Red from Fraggle Rock. I had a crush on her in the 3rd grade.
My niece told me I was Red.
Nice.
Yeah, we were watching Fraggle Rock the other day, and she goes, Coco, you're Red. Oh, thanks.
Let's move on to our Instagram responses. First one would be from Dino from the podcast. Once again, I like saying it.
That's why that one's good,
sounds something like a Muppet would say.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Before he said, do. Okay.
Mana.
I always loved Rolf. He had such a cool philosophical thing going on. Always seemed like the most insightful one in the room. And reading that, I'm like, yeah, I think he's 100% right on that. He was definitely the guy that smoked a little reefer, and then...
And you know what? I like you too.
Yeah, you little jazz musician, man.
Sorry, Paul. That's one of my favorite things of him.
And Satomi said, you mean I have to choose? Okay, top 3. Oh, let me start that over again.
2.
And Satomi says, you mean I have to choose? Okay. Agra because she was a badass wise woman, and Sir Didymus because he is chivalrous and rides a St. Bernard. That's pretty good excuses right there. excuses. I say like it's a bad thing. Okay, so let's move on to our Facebook people. We have Eugenie Taylor. We haven't heard from her in quite a while. This is a nearly impossible question, as every Muppet has such an important role, and that's something that's really important, that the team aspect to it. However, more and more Gonzo stands out as being particularly ahead of the time. Gonzo the Great, stuntman extraordinaire, and identified as a whatever. Gonzo is the Muppet of now from back then. Now, from what I read, though, he was actually he was supposed to be a space alien.
Yeah,
I
he's
refuse
in
to
there, man.
acknowledge that.
It's a movie.
He's a space chicken.
I don't have
It's
to,
canon.
I don't have to agree with it.
Heather Rourke. I like Sweetums. He was always the most misunderstood monster, the Ferdinand of the Muppet universe. Then for the newer generation of Muppets, I like Pepe for his salty sarcasm and unflinching self-confidence, which he is actually a really... I can't believe I forgot about him. He's a very interesting character. Mickey Rourke. I still want to know what happened to Skeeter. What isn't Scooter telling us about his missing twin? What are you hiding?
Like she's the character like from Happy Days where she just goes up to the top of the stairs and
And
is
just
never
never
heard
came
from
down.
again.
But honestly, interesting character.
Yeah.
I think Scooter and Skeeter together, I wish we would have seen them on the Muppet
There
universe.
can only be one road manager.
But I think they had to create another girl for the nursery because it was definitely not balanced.
There's a penguin
True.
now.
It's a penguin.
It's a penguin and then no Muppet babies.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm good.
She has a name. I can't remember what her name is.
Todd, here's a big surprise to everyone. While Animal is a perennial favorite, I'm going to have to stick with Kermit. He just gets it. Every drummer will always say Animal.
That's true.
Coral! Kermit, because it ain't easy being green. I mean, come on. He has the heart and soul of the Muppet universe. He's the leader. That's
Pretty much several writings I've read from the different Muppeteers said that Kermit was a just slightly exaggerated version of Jim.
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that probably explains a lot.
I like how exasperated he gets all the time.
Yeah.
Danielle Ariana. As a kid, I loved Miss Piggy and was low-key scared of Animal. Interesting, though. Especially after they blew him up Ant-Man style in the movie. In my old age, I have a deeper appreciation for Animal and his feelings, LOL. Adore the bromance of Kermit and Fozzie now and forever. Interesting. I don't know, Kermit always seemed annoyed by Fozzie more
Fozzie's
than...
his best friend.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
so
but
annoyed by
it's,
it.
You can be annoyed by your best
Yeah,
friend.
I'm annoyed by you all the time, Dale. What are you talking about?
I'm pretty sure.
But this is why we don't hang out off air.
I
No.
know. Can you
Ask my
picture?
best friend. She'll tell you how annoyed with me she constantly is.
Christina Belden, Miss Piggy, big surprise. I can't help it. I adore this chubby, high-maintenance diva. She has no problem being sweet and can switch to hella sassy when needed. I feel like Henson created her for all the chubby ladies of the world.
You know, the more that you talk about it, it's just a whole trope of theater people.
Right.
It really is.
Well, especially like my number one.
That's why he stuck him in a theater.
Daniel Houston. Yeah, we got two left. Daniel Houston said Cookie Monster. Look at that face. His sweet nature, hilarious jokes, and zany addiction to cookies always makes me feel like everything's all right.
Did you see him on John Oliver? Oh, find that on YouTube. Like him and John Oliver have like a little skit together. It's
Have you
hilarious.
seen the Cookie Monster and Tom Hiddleston thing?
Yes.
About delayed gratification?
I
It's
love it. It's
hilarious.
so good.
Check it out on
Done.
YouTube.
See both of them.
So good.
And from Tyler, the namer of the mascot himself, Fozzie. I always felt a level of comfort with him as I was growing up. So outstanding. Thanks, guys. And with that, let's move on to the main event.
Now it's time for the main event.
Okay, for this version of the main event, we're doing our top 5 favorite Henson characters. Now, this could be anything that Jim Henson has done. Does that even we even push the limits of that? What I was thinking, but yeah, they all work. If it was in a Henson movie, Henson TV show, Henson anything, it is acceptable.
Not just Muppets.
Not just Muppets.
Instant creation.
any creation. Yeah, you know what we missed out on was that kid Sid, which was like the CGI version of puppets, but they were really puppets. It's a newer one with my kids. So, yeah. Okay, so my number 5 is I kind of went obscure on this one. Guy Smiley.
Guy Smiley.
The actual anchorman that wasn't Sam Eagle. Really interesting. I think it was really based on Dan Rather, kind of looked like
the G version of Ron Burgundy.
Just very, very straight-laced. But interesting character all over the place. He's enjoyable to watch. I would get my news from Guy.
My number 5 is Beaker. Yeah.
But can you have a Beaker without a Bunsen?
I mean, you can't, but I was only going for the one character. I think he's just the comic relief of that team, and it's fun to just watch him. No matter what he's doing, he's always doing something crazy.
Well, did it freak you guys out when Dr. Bunsen Honeydew would take off his glasses and he had no eyes?
No eyes, yeah.
But that team always felt like a more mellowed out version of Pinky and the Brain.
I could see Pinky in the Brain like getting inspiration from
Bunsen. Seeing that.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Nice.
Can't unsee that now. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
My number 5 is the Worm from Labyrinth.
Yes.
I love him. Yep.
Yep. And if you watch the commercial to this show, you'll know what she's talking about.
All right, my number 5 is Fizzgig. And if anybody doesn't know who Fizzgig is, if you watch The Dark Crystal, the furry, fuzzy little, or if you see my Facebook page and you'll see what I'm talking about, but just this little furry little fuzzball, and then when he opens his mouth, it's almost like a Jaws, just like massive, just teeth, and then, but he's such the cuddliest, like, animal, like Muppet in there. And whoever, I don't know who the puppeteer is, the Muppeteer, but that dude is amazing. Like, that character stole the show and stole the scene in a lot of that movie. Yes,
Nice.
Looks like a Tribble with teeth.
Yeah, that's probably why I like it to Star Trek. Yeah.
My number 5 is The Count.
Wow, on sync.
You know, I don't know if you guys ever remember this one, Sesame's Treat. There was a techno version that started with the Count doing his thing, and then they it's a bad house mix of. Can you tell me how to get? But it starts with him counting. It's really cool.
I'm sorry. The best Count skit ever in the history of the Count on Sesame Street was when he hired Ernie to answer the door and told him that the job wouldn't be easy because the Count wanted to count the doorbell rings. So he was like wrestling him every time Ernie would go try to get the door.
Nice.
And he's like, but you won't let me get the door. He's like, I told you it wouldn't be easy. Best skit ever.
I have a question. Like, every time that his number goes up, his voice his octave gets higher. What if he had a huge, like a billion? What would happen
Only
to the Count?
dogs would hear him.
Or his head
the
explodes.
dogs' heads would explode.
Yeah.
Well, he's immortal. He's a vampire.
Oh, true.
So he
I
can
feel
count to
like
a
we
billion.
just reached an existential
1
Muppet
billion.
crisis.
I got asked this. Did any of you guys see the censored Count on YouTube? Every time it says Count, they bleep it.
I think my brother showed that to me.
I highly recommend watching it. Oh my gosh, it's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I do have to get one more shout out to the Count. There's a painting of the Count punching Edward from Twilight.
Oh, outstanding.
Honorable mention.
I'm going to have to find that.
One perfect roundhouse. My number 5, I do slightly disagree with Miss Geeky Page on the boredom factor of the curious creations of Christy McConnell.
I just thought she was really boring to watch. I'm sorry.
I found that show to be absolutely fascinating in all facets.
I think she's a great cake maker. Her stuff is beautiful. She's like watching paint dry. She has that much excitement from
But that low-key, slightly psychotic, Martha Stewart appearance, but it totally worked for me.
I have to disagree. I don't think she quite achieved that. I think she just has no stage presence.
Really? That's cool.
She's beautiful. She's really beautiful, and she's a very amazing cake maker.
She is.
But
is that cooking show that has like all the?
But I thought that it worked, and then they brought in
creepy crawly cakes.
Yeah, they brought in some other characters, and then the Muppet cast is what really stole the show on that.
Right, they made it good.
Nice.
Yes.
My number 4 is a character that I've always deeply identified with, and that's not the best thing in the world to say, but even as a kid, I got him, Oscar.
Yeah, yeah.
I say not because I'm like
A grouch.
I'm not a grouch. I'm really not, but I get it. I like
You love trash.
during his time that he wants to be left alone. He wants to be left alone, and as long as people stay away from him, he's happy. And he wants to be around people. Cool, but when he doesn't, leave me alone.
Absolutely stunning how many doors of understanding are now opening.
It's like an onion.
As I'm looking at you.
And it smells like an onion. With a
You're not
garbage
an
can.
onion. You're a grouch.
I'm a grouch.
You're a grouch.
My number 4 is Walter from the not Muppets Most Wanted, but the movie that came before it. It was like the new Muppet movie.
I think it's called The Muppets. I think
Is it just called the? Yeah.
I think it's just called The Muppets.
I really enjoyed that movie. I think I can't remember the amount of years that had gone on between when they made the last Muppet movie and when this one came out, but it was a long time. And I think when they brought it back and they introduced this character of a Muppet who grew up with a human family, and then his entire goal in life was to be on the Muppets. And I just think it's told a really good story, and it really did bring back that feel of the Muppets.
Cool.
Nice.
My number 4 is Agra from the Dark Crystal, for all the reasons that Satomi mentioned in her listener feedback. And I'm fairly certain that I'm going to end up being the cantankerous old woman. So I kind
Then
of...
you can be friends with me, and we'll be in the retirement home being grouchy to each other.
I feel like I'm going to grow up to be Agra at some point in time.
I love that we're still saying when I grow up.
Right.
Wow.
When I get to be old, I'll just be old and cantankerous. I'm just kind of cantankerous now. So.
All right, so my number 4 is the illustrious tones of Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem.
Absolutely.
Sidebar, the phenomenon. Oh gosh, it was the phenomenon, the Snowlets. The Sing Five were the Snowlets. Yes.
Here's the thing
did
about
you know
Dr.
that?
Teeth 2 and the Electric Mayhem. The musicianship in that band
Fantastic.
is phenomenal.
Amazing. Yes.
We're
Based
talking
on
like
Dr.
Rolling
John.
Stones level talent.
There was a time that I wanted them to make albums. I didn't care about the Muppet Show or whatever. Just Dr. Teeth and Electric Mayhem making.
Are you
albums.
saying that they didn't?
I think I forgot about it, and now I think there is some albums out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
if not, please do. That's amazing.
They're at least part of the reason why I'm a musician today. And I know that sounds silly, but that's as a young inspiration. I want to be in a band. That's cool.
Again, can you picture?
Yeah.
My number 4 is Kermit and Robin, because
Nice.
when I was a little girl, my obsession was the Frog Prince. I literally had the vinyl record
Oh, nice.
and wore that sucker out. Loved it. So, yeah.
Outstanding.
So a tie for number 4. Mr. Snuffleupagus, mainly for the innovation of actually, succeeding in doing that puppet at the time.
It's a big puppet.
Yeah, really amazing. I think there was the whole TV screens and all the stuff to get that right with that one. And then the Swedish Chef, who I probably, probably like, if there is a funniest Muppet, it's him. Absolutely.
Unintentionally
Chocolate
funny
mousse.
at that.
Put
Yeah.
some chocolate on some mousse. Oh, my God.
Got the froggy legs.
Right. Chicken in the basket. That's the
Did Camilla go in the basket?
I'd like to see him and Beaker have a conversation.
I think there is one.
Yeah, I'm
Check
sure
out
there is.
YouTube.
Do you think he drove a Volvo? Nobody. Oh wow, that just went over everybody's head. Wah, wah. Okay, my number 3 would be a guy that you can meet in a swamp down in Dagobah. Mr. Yoda himself.
Yes.
Yeah, Yoda.
Everybody was. I thought you'd be tracking on that one.
The husband to Agra.
And I know that's kind of controversial because Henson didn't do Yoda. Frank Oz did.
Frank
But-
Oz did the voice for Yoda.
He was definitely inspired by Jim Henson, consulted upon. So therefore, I consider him to be
Yeah.
part of the universe.
Okay, fair enough.
Fair enough.
Hey, you
Yeah.
let me keep my number 1. I'm letting you keep your number 3.
Right.
I'm just saying I think that's why Yoda and Agra were married, and then just she just kept nagging him, so then he had to go to Dagobah to get away from her.
Right, she
Yeah,
had to
so it's-
stay.
My number 3 is Rizzo the Rat.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he's just a.
Wow.
He's just a great character. He's funny. I mean, I think it all depends on where he is, because from movie to movie and to show, he kind of like changes the aspect
so
of
funny
himself.
in Christmas Carol.
I love him. in that
Yes,
movie. This is my favorite part of the movie.
Wow, this really is a dirty city.
Just all around great character.
Outstanding. Have you recovered yet, Courtney?
Right,
You
that
ready?
was almost my number 3, so I'm with you on that one. My number 3 is Pepe, the King Prawn.
Nice.
Because he's a lot like Rizzo. he's got little man disease, so he's always getting ready to fight somebody. He's really a shrimp, but he tells everybody he's a king prawn. He cracks me up so much.
Honestly, he could have been like a pro wrestler manager.
Right.
Oh,
Seriously.
yeah, definitely.
That is
He's
his
so
character.
funny.
Just
He's
so
so
confident, but he had a heart of gold too. Like
He's
if
a
somebody
king
was in
prawn.
trouble, he would bend over backwards to
Right.
make sure.
He's
Yeah, he
so
was
funny.
taken
He just
care of.
cracks me up.
So I would say my number 3 should be my number 1, because this is probably like Kermit was a big influence in my life, but I have to admit Grover was my Muppet, was my number 1 Muppet. Like just his creativeness and he wasn't really confident, but he just had a great imagination. And come on, Super Grover.
Oh, yeah.
Who did not pretend to be Super Grover, right?
And how lucky,
I still do.
yeah.
how lucky was Jim Henson to meet Frank Oz?
Yeah.
I mean, how
Right.
talk about.
No, how lucky are we?
Well, yeah, but I mean,
They were
for
good
that
friends.
magical meeting to have happened
Yeah.
is like, oh my gosh,
Oh, the Magic Triangle. Miss Piggy, Yoda, Grover. Same kind of.
Yeah.
It's all Frank Oz, but I mean, just variations of the same kind of a voice and tonality.
Did you ever read the book as a kid?
The monster.
The monster at the end of
The
this
monster-
book.
Yes,
Yes.
that's my favorite.
It's
Sesame
my brother's
Street book.
favorite book. Yep. It's all Grover being Grover.
Nice.
Love it. My number 3 is my favorite 3-year-old, Little Red Elmo.
Nice. Tickle Me Elmo, the hottest toy to ever hit the store for Christmas.
That ever existed.
That went crazy.
Aside from like the controversy surrounding the voice of that, there's a documentary about Elmo, and it is
Elmo.
and you get to go into the creature store and
It's
see how they
fantastic,
spend time in there. It's fantastic.
Elmo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to speak on that for just a second when we talk about the controversy. I don't think about any of that with any of these characters
No,
because
No.
the character to me, this is truly one of those times you can separate the person from
Yeah.
the character.
Yeah.
Bill Cosby could have been doing it, and I would not even think, oh, that's Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
You know, he did
Elmo-
bad things.
Elmo is Elmo,
The character
yes.
is the character. It's not
Yeah.
some creep.
Elmo is his own personality.
So,
Right.
you know, it's very easy to separate. Sometimes I wish we could do that with our TV stuff a lot more.
Yeah. My number 3 again started as a Frank Oz character, although I know he passed the voice on in one, Cookie Monster. The absolute, representation of that id, that type of id.
He was the thing.
I don't know. He actually, there's a similarity between sort of the gruff and blunt mannerisms of the Cookie Monster character that kind of carry over to Miss Piggy in a different sort of way. Like the rough side of both of those, who were both done by Frank Oz, the rough side of both of those characters is pretty similar. You know, and like Cookie would never call him Kermit, be like Frog. You know, he never called him by Kermit. You know, it was always so. Yeah, Cookie Monster, love him.
Outstanding. My number 2, for all the reasons it's been mentioned for at a million different times today, Rolf. But yeah, Rolf is one of my favorite characters. I've just for all the reasons that were said before.
Are you sure it's not 50 Ways to Love Your Lever? Oh, come on. I'm the only one who got that joke.
Yes.
Yeah.
You didn't see Rolf talking to Paul Simon on The Muppet Show? And he went up and asked him, are you sure it's not 50 Ways to Love Your Lever? And then he goes, sorry, Paul. It's
Nice.
Oh, you guys. Eat it, all of you.
My number 2
my
is
life.
Sweetums. Growing up, I never
Sweetums.
I never realized like what he was, and it just he was fun to watch, and I love I know it's in the Muppet movie. But they might also be a running gag where he's just chasing them the whole time. They're all gathering up, and then he just is complete.
And then in the background, you see then he's running and they're chasing him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a great character.
Rubber ducky, you're the one. Quack, quack. So it's Ernie. I do love Bert, but I really love Ernie.
Ernie is the biggest sociopath that ever
love
existed on
Ernie.
Sesame
Shut
Street.
up.
Want some ice cream?
Tell me he isn't. Tell me he isn't.
Bert would be.
Bert was always the victim of Ernie's sociopathy.
Yeah,
Bert.
I agree.
I don't think so. I
Bert's
can't even
my
see
cousin.
Ernie's fantastic.
We love
I'm with
Ernie.
Artie is good.
Love Ernie.
So my number 2 is probably the quintessential Muppet for every actor in the universe, Fozzie Bear.
Waka waka.
Just him, just getting up on stage and trying
Bombing.
to, and just
Stand-up comedy, man.
but still
It's hard.
but still picking himself back up and doing it again. But all of his idiosyncrasies
Never
and
say
his
quit.
confidence, and but he still goes up and does it. And he is the most loyal. He's like the Sam Gamgee, always loyal, always
Nice.
got
That's
your
good,
back.
actually.
Yeah, like as a human being, Grover, as an actor, Fozzie's my man.
One
Yes.
thing I will say in the new Muppet TV show nobody likes, the scene where he steals the ashtray from Jay Leno's house and just figures out how to get it back.
Right?
So good.
My number 2 is Ludo from Labyrinth, the big giant. He's the friend of the rocks. He's just the sweetest. He's a big, gentle giant, and he's funny and pretty monosyllabic.
Rocks are friends.
Rocks are friends.
I wonder what Henson would have done with Neverending Story. Sorry.
My number 2 is Animal.
Nice.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
drummer, man. I
Well, if
agree.
you're a drummer,
I
you
agree
are.
with Todd. You know, I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean, for all the millions of reasons we've said already, because he's just a great character.
Kind of like Cookie Monster on, Cookie Monster Plus.
Yeah, I like that editing. That was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely self-edited there.
Nice. My number 1 is 2 people. And you put them together, and they're the same person, but they're fantastic. Statler and Waldorf.
Absolutely.
This is what me and one of my friends from work, Herb, always get accused of every day. That's who you guys are, and we kind of are. Yeah, I mean, the way I heckle and everything else, that is very much...
Do you guys start your workday and go, why do we always come here?
Yes. Absolutely.
He didn't have to jump. It wasn't that bad.
Oh, yes, he did. Oh, sorry.
My number 1 was PB's number 2, Animal.
Nice.
Just a great character for all the reasons that we've said. His drum battles are some of the best things
Ever.
to watch ever, yeah.
Miss Piggy.
Yes.
She's my favorite. Because she tries to be glamorous, she tries to be wonderful, and she just falls down a lot. And
Oh,
But
she
she
can
don't
rock
care.
a
But
metal
she's-
dress, like a foil dress. I
Right,
mean, come
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
She's just really funny, and her getting all stupid with Kermit just makes me giggle every time.
my number 1 Statler Waldorf as well. Just the 2 old guys in the balcony that just will keep the theater. How can I put it? I don't want to say honest. If they say that you're good, then you've actually got something. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they don't take it too seriously.
Right.
You know, they don't have a homage for the holiness of the theater.
Yeah.
It's
It's not like mean spirit. It kind of is, but it's not. It's kind of a weird kind of
they are 2 friends.
mixture.
They're 2 friends that make each other laugh.
Yeah, I mean, even when they're saying quips to the people on stage, it's kind of it's a little mean, but it's not like personal mean. It's just kind of like,
I want to hear their podcast.
yeah,
I could listen to that for an hour.
Oh, that would be
Their podcast is called iHeartGeek.
yes.
My number 1 is, and always has been and always will be, Jareth from Labyrinth.
Nice.
And he cannot be recasted as David Bowie, and that is it, and that is all there will ever be.
Wow, I thought you could only throw somebody under the bus once.
Oh.
No. We had a discussion last night with we were watching Labyrinth, and I was watching the movie like, wow, I wonder how this would be, how somebody would use this if they wanted to update it or make it do a reboot. And I said, well, hey, how would you feel if somebody actually did a reboot of Labyrinth? And she looked over at me and says, we can't because, honey, David Bowie passed away. We can't. And I'm like, well, what about Lin-Manuel? She's like, shut your dirty mouth. Don't know. So
many doors opening into your guys' marriage.
At one point, he looked at me and said, I can tell by the look on your face that I'm going to stop talking now.
Another door just opened. That one went up to the attic.
It's, with the prototype of Yoda, they're like, hey.
There's a Monsters Inc. factory worth of doors. So you're not worried about that.
It's healthy.
Yes. Okay, so there are three strong female characters that I absolutely admire. Princess Leia being one of them, Wonder Woman being one of them, and Miss Piggy being the third. Mm-hmm. She is my number one on my list for
number one in your heart.
All of the reasons that that Miss Geeky Page said. Plus, if there is one character that, I mean, Frank Oz is brilliant, but if there is one character that kind of sets his brilliance plus one, it's Miss Piggy.
Yeah.
I mean, because... Yeah, Kermie. Because you just...
And you believe it's a woman.
Oh, you just believe it. Everything.
You do.
As I said, to be able to converse with her would be like something that, I mean, if I could make that happen somehow, Frank, if you're out there listening, I would just, that would be a high point in my life. Absolutely.
Nice. Well, we can send this to Frank Oz and see if we can count. And then he'll like
Frank.
Laugh at us like, you don't know anything about this. You guys are just talking
You
out
guys
your
are
butts.
just making stuff up.
And on that note,
Why has Frank Oz blocked us on Facebook?
And Twitter.
and Twitter, but Instagram we're good.
Yeah, we're
So,
good. Yeah.
that's good. So speaking of all our social media, check us out on www.iheartgeekshow.com. Use the com.
We paid extra for it.
Thank you. Check out the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, the YouTube, the Spotify, iTunes, everywhere else you can find us.
Boom,
Tell your friends about us.
apocalypse.
That means a lot when y'all do, and we appreciate it a whole lot. And until next time, I'm Dub.
I'm Blythe.
I'm Miss Geeky Page.
I'm George.
I'm Katie May.
I'm PB&Jason.
And PB&Jason gets to say it.
Keep on geeking on.
You've been listening to iHeartGeek. Our Twitter account is @iHeartGeekShow. Hope you enjoyed the show.